Welcome back to the Fear
and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies,
and just a little bit of beer.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Shamus.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Did you miss me? Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
Before we get into tonight's episode, we want to remind all of those listening on Apple Podcasts to drop us a 5-star review. It helps us grow as a podcast and build our audience. If you're listening on Spotify or any other platform, follow us, and don't forget to share with friends and family who might have a little bit of the strange in them as well.
And while you're on those socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, be sure to find us, Fear and Beer Pod. Give us a like, share, and you can always message us. We love to interact with all you guys.
Holy shit!
Well, that was quick. We're back.
From the future!
From the future. So
we're wearing the same clothes. This is weird.
Crazy. So...
Sorry, I don't mean to yelling, but I have a reason to yell.
I'm excited. So, when you listen to next week's episode, you will see in the beginning part that we are talking about Horror Night Nightmares dropping a speculation map.
So they dropped that. Obviously, you're listening to this tomorrow. So last night they dropped that, or they announced it, right?
Yeah.
And they're dropping it. So obviously, you're listening to this. They've dropped it.
Yeah. So we're
listening to next week's.
We're pushing the episode we just recorded to next week, and the episode you're getting right now, Thursday, is this week's episode.
Yeah. So this is 80. So 80, number 80.
This is episode 80 episodes. This is a big one. This is a milestone episode, and shout out to Horror Night Nightmares for dropping this at a time where we can line it up for our episode 80.
Yeah, thanks, bros. Thanks for telling us, as we start recording another episode.
Yeah, so we got that all squared up, and then I got the news. So if next week's episode I seem a little short or antsy, it's because I had some cool knowledge, and I was waiting to share it with Shamus until we were done recording, saying, hey, you got more time to record another episode because we're going to.
I'll admit, for those not watching on the YouTubes, I could see him frantically going through his phone while we're trying to talk about movies, and he's like, fucking, let's go. Pick it up. I don't want to talk about Cujo for 15 fucking minutes. Oh, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Cujo's on the episode.
Yeah.
So we got half-finished beers, some other beers.
Yeah, we're not going to waste time with beers.
We're going to jump right into this episode because this is a big one. This is Speculation Map 2.0.
Number 2.
And the best part is, Shamus has not seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. Well, this literally just happened.
Oh, just came through. So I'm excited to go through this. Just on a first glance, I'm excited for it. I'm excited a lot.
More so than the first one?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. There's some...
But is that because they've more or less, not confirmed, but more or less added more detail to make you think that at least one of the things that you're super excited about is actually on the spec map this time?
Yes, for a couple things, for a couple ways.
Okay.
But it also did get rid of some of the stuff.
Which we kind of figured they would.
We knew there was going to be
change.
Casualties of war. You know, it was going to happen. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah, just go one by one, so I can be like, ugh, or
House A, which on the previous map was Mummy versus Wolfman.
Yep.
And that is that front location by Rip Ride Rocket, where I believe that's kind of where the Bride area was.
That's where Bride was.
Yep.
And Ghostbusters.
Yep. So that is now Stranger Things. Have you seen the new Stranger Things trailer?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
I just saw it
because it came out yesterday.
I just saw it drop. I'm slow on things, so yes. Sorry guys, I didn't watch it the minute it dropped, but I will take time to watch it now, knowing that this is on the spec map.
So,
did we kind of call it though? Didn't we say that we
figured it would at least be up in the air?
There's a good chance that they're at least going to speculate that it will be there. I mean, that's obviously, again, it's speculation, so it's not totally true, but necessarily, but
it's gonna be fresh. So the first 5 episodes of season 4 drop late May, and then the last 4 drop in July,
which would be right.
So it's gonna line up immediately. So it's kind of similar, like how we mentioned when they did the previous one, the 2 and 3, that they dropped 3 in July. Horror Nights was in August. So they had some sort of insight. So obviously that communication is still going.
It makes a lot of sense.
The trailer, I will say, looks awesome. It looks dark. It's cool because obviously the kids aren't really kids anymore.
Yeah, they're saying young adults.
In 1 and 2, you could only scare them so much as children actors.
Right.
This one seems like it's good. They're going into the Upside Down. The like big,
# Barb's alive.
Yeah, the big and like they're in the Upside Down riding their bikes in like the red thunderstorms and stuff. Looks cool.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the trailer.
And then the big bad at the end like talks. It's like a human. So like
it's humanoid.
So we might get some more insight of like the Upside Down. There's a lot of speculation. I'm on board with it. That guy, that thing, is somehow Billy.
Oh.
Because when he gets killed,
he gets sucked in by the big tentacles
smashed in with tentacles, and this guy is like tentacles coming down.
Yeah,
and floating down.
It could be.
So that's just my speculation.
I'm interested. I have to watch the trailer. So
yeah.
Sue me. I haven't watched the trailer yet, but that's interesting.
I will say off the bat, that is the only Netflix property on here.
No,
so that
we
means
lost
Fear Street
for now.
For now, again, speculation season, but. We did say that this would make more sense timeline wise, and I feel like it's safe to say, and maybe Haunting of Hill House will prove me wrong, that I think if we don't get Fear Street this year, I don't think we will get Fear Street.
I think we're going to be too far away from it,
and that's the point. So I mean, that's what I would say. But then Hill House was far away from their release as well. Did it have more lasting power?
Yeah, well, that's the thing though too. Is I think Hill House. It had a farther reach. More people were excited about Hill House. More normies watched Hill House, I think, than they did Fear Street. I think Fear Street was for us. It was for the audience, like for their
those RL style Goosebumps
for the hardcores. Whereas Hill House is more of a longer reaching story, much more relatable, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I can see why that one probably had more staying power, but. Yeah, I think if this holds true, I don't know if we're gonna get Fear Street then. I think this was the year.
I think
to
it's
be
one
Fear
or the
Street.
other, and like I said, if it's not this year, then they might have just maybe next year they go back to Bly Manor.
And I mean, to be honest with you,
stick with those two series.
It just works out too well. I mean, you're getting half the season, and then half the season. It's a perfect marketing tool for Universal to use to say, hey,
it's a home run.
Just saw it.
Yeah.
Guess what we got back again.
Yeah, I mean.
And they'll do it good. They'll do a great job with it. Like I have no problem with them doing it because I know they'll do well with it. But it's just this is 3 out of 4 years they've done it now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I'll see
if it stays. If it sticks.
If it sticks, I mean, I love Stranger Things just as much as the next person. I think I have that bad taste of that last house, the season 2 and 3 in my mouth.
You weren't wowed by it,
and it didn't do it for me. The season 1 house was amazing. Maybe this one will give us more like we're in the Upside Down. It's hard to speculate on something that isn't released yet.
Right.
So
I agree.
Just going off of the trailer,
I agree.
Maybe it's a darker house instead of like that funny, goofy house or something like that.
Yep.
And I will say right now too, we didn't do beers ahead of time because we are still drinking some of the beers from the previous episode.
Yeah.
So we're just getting into the nitty gritty.
For anybody wondering, we are recording
on
the same night.
I'm cracking open a watermelon White Claw hard seltzer. It is spiked sparkling water. Okay, let's get back to speculation.
He had a real beer. Don't worry. Listen to next week's episode.
Yeah. So B, onto the B mark, which is where. That's the Jimmy Fallon area.
Yeah, and this was
that was where Chainsaw was.
Chainsaw. Okay.
So originally,
Yeti.
That was Seaside Village.
Yep.
On this map, that is Dead Man's Fucking Wharf.
I told you.
Let's fucking go.
We called it.
Oh God, it feels so fucking good to see that font.
So obviously that is. Obviously, Seaside Village, we kind of both guessed that it was one of two things. It was either going to be Dead Man's Wharf or some
like the Vikings
potential Vikings thing. Like I said, didn't think that made too much sense. I think Seaside Village is too on the nose to not be Dead Man's Wharf.
Oh, I can't fucking wait.
And they've obviously heard our pleas and said, you know what? We're going to make you guys super hyped up and words I can't use on a public podcast because this is what you want. This is what you've been clamoring for.
Flip fucking table and like jump out a fucking window.
And this is B, so this is like right off the bat.
Like this is the shit that makes me run through brick fucking walls.
And the thing is like it's yes for us that are Again, I never saw the original.
Yeah, you
so
saw
I don't
some
really,
of the guys though. In
I saw the characters,
Eddie's,
but I never really got to experience the actual Scare Zone. So I don't really know it as much as well as you do. But through your excitement, I can understand and I can be pumped up. And like I said, I love the originals, so I would rather do a 10 original event than and have no IPs than have 10 IPs and no originals. Yeah. So I'm pumped. I'm as pumped as you are for it. I kind of expected that this was going to be on there. Yeah. So I'm not as like oh my god but it makes sense. I mean, I don't know what else can you say about it. I mean, it's the one original they haven't done, they should have done, that they are finally getting to if it sticks.
There's one on here that I think you'll have the same reaction for once we get down the line.
Okay.
Similar-ish.
If Halloween 3's on this fucking map, I will fucking strip on camera.
No, it is.
I'm just kidding. I will not do that.
But
fucking Halloween 3.
Right.
Come on.
But yeah,
just
Dead Man's Wharf getting the recognition that it so deserves.
It needs it. And in this could, again, I mean, it seems to be, and again, like I said, I'm newer to this whole event, so I don't really know a lot of the past events, but it just feels like, to me, every single year they keep upping the ante with their originals, and there's always one original that's better than the best house from the previous year. In the two that I've been to so far, it was Graveyard Games, and then it was, Realm of the Pumpkin Lord, and
Wicked
it feels
Growth.
like
Wicked
Wicked Growth, and I feel like if this sticks to the event, Dead Man's Wharf could be just that next step.
So moving along now to C, which is the left-hand corral passing Jimmy Fallon. So that is where Tooth Fairy was last year. On the previous map, that's where Fear Street was going to be housed. And now we have an original house that's just called Bug House.
Ugh.
House.
Man. God.
So what are we getting ourselves into?
I'll just put this out right now. I'm a 34-year-old man, and I will not go in butterfly houses because I'm terrified of bugs. I hate bugs. I hate bugs that land on you. I hate bugs that are big. If I can see its eyeballs and stuff going, blah, 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 like I'm out. I'm out. So I won't go in a butterfly house. Ugh.
Similar, maybe.
This might potentially could be like
the grossest.
The first time I've ever skipped a house.
No, can't do it. Nope, unacceptable.
I don't know.
Unacceptable. Here. Vetoed. So this one, and we just are looking at this now. So the only thoughts that I immediately find is I want to see decapitated limbs coming out of a cocoon, and having these weird hybrid bug humans.
If this is
like that thing from the in It 2 when the little bird baby hatches,
or like The Fly. If it's if anything like The Fly, I'm totally down for that because I love body horror. I just don't like tiny flying millions of flying insects.
Maybe it's a science experiment gone wrong, and we get that weird sci-fi reanimator-y The Fly style thing.
We've said before on the podcast that there are certain things you can kind of do with sensory, so like certain fan effects where it feels like things are flying by you,
touching
and the noises and stuff like that. So this might be the one house in the 3 years that I've gone so far that I will do it. Yeah, I will not do it willingly, and I will be reluctant to do it, and I will not lead the group like I usually do.
I'll take on those reins,
please, because I don't know. This one's
I'm very curious.
I'm not a bug guy.
When we talked about the previous spec map and we had stuff like underground creatures, it's pretty vague. There's a lot. It's open for interpretation.
It's like when we got Mannequin Theater and it became Puppet Theater or Mannequin, whatever it was. Yeah. This could totally change over the course of the next 6 months, but. I mean, just bug. What is it? Bug what? Bug.
Just says Bug House.
Ugh.
Who knows? So moving along to location D.
And really quick, remember, spiders are not technically bugs.
They're arachnids.
They're arachnids, so it's a little different. Yeah. So it could be a spider type thing. Yeah. Or it could be more traditional bugs. Yeah. Nasty grub type stuff.
So moving to the right of that, location D, which is the right area where Icons was last year. On the previous map, Speculation Map 1, that was where The Last of Us was going to be.
Which makes sense why they're pulling this.
And that is now going to be Universal Monsters: The Mummy versus the Wolfman.
Okay, so that hasn't changed.
So not much
They just
speculated
moved where
there.
it
They
is.
just moved locations on that house.
Yeah, and we figured Last of Us wouldn't last.
No, and
Pun intended.
that was on the lower half of our hype rankings.
Yeah, and
so
that's
you will.
solely because with the pushback on the show, like it made no sense for them to have a house based on something that hadn't been
It's,
released yet.
like 6 years out. I mean, I don't know how long the video game came out.
Well, the video game
first one was a while
years
ago.
ago, and the show was supposed to be, again, like we said before, this October or something like that. But it got pushed back to next year.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it's gone. I think Mummy and the Wolfman is probably a safe bet.
Yep,
It seems to be.
It's made it 2 rounds, and it's that trend.
Yeah,
It's the same way that
you're-
Netflix has their one.
You're gonna have a Universal Monsters house pretty much every event
Yeah.
going forward. Again, I still haven't changed my opinion, so I'm sorry if I offend any fans. I am still of the belief that I would rather them do one and the other, or one or the other,
Yeah.
rather than doing the versus thing.
The versus doesn't make sense.
But that's just me.
But-
That's just me.
check 2 off the box so we can get to the creature. So moving right along to location E, and that is the MIB tent. That's the one that's
Yep.
next to the Fear Factor stage. That's where Welcome to Scary was.
Yep.
On the previous map, that was the Curse of Pandora's Box.
Okay.
That was the
The one
California
from
original.
Hollywood. Yep.
That is now the location for El Chupacabra.
Okay, so that's still on the map.
So it's still on the map, new location.
Just changed locations.
And Pandora's Box is no longer with us.
Oh.
So we did lose that.
Interesting.
So
I mean, we say it's off of this map. It could come back,
Yeah.
but it seems to be, from the ones we've seen, once they lose it, it usually doesn't return.
yeah,
Or it doesn't necessarily return in the same
fashion
Fashion
or whatever.
or-
So I am a little bummed. I really was looking forward to seeing what the Pandora's Box was all about, especially seeing how Orlando could adapt the Hollywood style and spruce it up and do what Orlando does, which is, just they add that extra layer of aesthetics and immersiveness and stuff like that. So again, there's not much to talk about on some of those re-lists, the ones that have made it to round 2. So we'll move right along now to location F, which is those double originals. They tend to be by like the Coke store and to the right of MIB.
Yep.
F is where Wicked Growth was last year because it was on the left side, and that was on the first map, El Chupacabra,
which is moved.
which is moved. So now we are getting the Horrors of Blumhouse, The Black Phone, and Freaky. Oh, interesting
specific,
picks.
very specific.
Specific for those.
Like they could have just said like Blumhouse horror, and
Yeah.
been like, okay, so it
Yeah.
could be anything.
So they've done this before. They've done a Blumhouse compilation house before where it was Happy Death Day and The First Purge, I believe it was. We've seen Blumhouse in this compilation style before.
So explain it to me. I've never done a compilation house of like that before. So
They
how
just
does
take scenes from the movies
and it just switches back and forth?
either switches back and forth or it's like 4 and 4. There's not really like it's not like the Versus house where it'll probably be like they'll probably intertwine at some point.
They'll kind of like mix together.
It's probably just because I haven't seen the Black Phone. That's that Ethan Hawke one. I don't even know if it's out yet or not.
I thought it did come out,
It-
but maybe
it
it
could
didn't.
be out,
So
but-
that one. So this is where it gets interesting. Is that yes, they're both Blumhouse properties. That is a Joe Hill novel, which I've been meaning to read. I haven't read it yet. Joe Hill, if you don't know, is Stephen King's son. Very much writes in his father's style. So if you like Stephen King, check out Joe Hill. But that movie is based on his property. Whereas what was the other one? Freaky, which is the Freaky Friday type movie.
That was the Vince Vaughn serial killer,
which is a good movie.
which was fun.
It's a fun movie. They don't look like they mix very well.
No, they
and
don't.
I haven't obviously, like I said, we aren't even sure if that
Yeah.
if Black Phone came out yet.
So Black Phone comes out June 24th.
All right, so it hasn't come out yet. So they don't. I feel like one's kind of like a fun,
Yeah.
weird, dark comedy type,
Yeah.
dark black
Well, that's
comedy
like-
type thing.
That's like Happy Death Day and The Purge were together.
yeah,
in a
very
house.
very weird. So I guess it could work.
So
but
it's fine. I mean, until I see the Black Phone, maybe the Black Phone blows me away, and I'm like, sure, that's cool. I think that like with these Blumhouse movies, like Happy Death Day, like it's tough to translate into a house, but it's still kind of fun because like it has that like I don't want to say iconic, but it has a distinct character.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like the killer is distinct because the mask he wears, or I don't want to give away the movie, but the point is that like the character is pretty, the bad guy is pretty iconic, but it's a movie mechanic that's hard to translate. It's just like the same day happen. It's a Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
So like, how do you translate that effect to the house? You can't. So you just show a bunch of scenes from the movie, and you go, oh, remember that? Oh, remember that? So that's kind of how that works. Again, we can't really speak to the Black Phone yet because we haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. It looks like a pretty decent movie. It looks a little weird and out there. Kind of like a different take on the entrapment type movie where you're keeping a person like trapped.
Yeah.
Like a Saw or a Split or something like along those lines, The Room or whatever. And then of course Freaky, which is a little different. Again, weird mechanics sort of translate to a house because you've got this cutesy high school age chick who's a bloodthirsty murderer,
serial killer,
and then
now.
you've got a big tall goofy idiot like Vince Vaughn who's acting like a girl.
It's a fun base,
movie.
Which kind
I'm
of little
wondering if maybe this could change down the line and become just a Black Phone house.
Could be. I mean, I would probably be more apt to take a singular IP versus the two that don't match because they're fun, but it is whatever.
It's just I'm interested in it. I'm interested to see how they would work those two together.
And
I'll say that much.
Just to reiterate what I said too, I kind of misread the map because some of the locations did change. So El Chupacabra is over in Fast and the Furious now.
Oh, so they are going to use that area.
So it looks like on this map they got rid of. They just changed the letters a little bit, so that's why I was kind of confused. So Pandora's Box on the previous map was going to be that MIB tent.
Right.
Okay, so El Chupacabra, location E. It looks like it's over at the Fast and the Furious.
So that's new then.
Yeah, so that they've done something there previously, but not recently. They have housed something there. So the Horrors of Blumhouse, location F, is that MIB tent where Scary was.
Where Scary was. Yep.
Yeah. So that they kind of got switched. I didn't realize that till I was looking in there in depth because I've been flipping back and forth between the two. So onto location G, which on speculation map 1 was Underground Creatures, and that is on the right side of MIB, which is where where Puppet Theater was last year.
Theater, yeah.
So G on speculation map 1. Now G on speculation map 2 is the one on the left side where Wicked Growth was.
So they swapped the letters.
Yeah, so they swapped those letters. But that G location is still Underground Creatures.
Okay.
No other information on that, really. Nothing.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything different yet.
So
I don't think our opinions have changed.
Mole men,
if they do it, if that's done, I think, in my opinion, the right way, which is not
probably what they will do.
Not like cave vampires, but like more give us something different. Play with our emotions. Play with our, sensory. Give us sensory overload. Make us crawl through tight spaces. Do that sort of thing, and I think it's gonna be good. Or do like a minor type thing. Great.
Creepy mole men.
So it could go either way. I think they could go. It could be really good.
Make it really hot.
It can be meh.
Yeah. So here's the big one. I think this is the last real big change.
Oh boy.
So this is location H.
Yep.
Which I'm trying to zoom out. H last on speculation map
was
1
Halloween.
Was the Evil Dead.
Okay.
The location on there was much different, but now on speculation map 2, location H is where Puppet Theater was, that right tent.
Yep.
And that is now the Wicked Growth 2.
Let's fucking go! We're bringing them back. Let's go.
No other subtitles.
Sorry, I just yelled into the mic. It's gonna be really loud, so I'm sorry, speakers. Let's go.
The Wicked Growth 2, Return of the Pumpkin Lord at HHN31.
Let's fucking go.
Which
What
is
did I
what we
say?
said originally
What did I say?
That this needs to have 31 Halloween.
It makes
too much sense
too
to not
much
do it.
sense to not have Pumpkin Lord back on the 31st. How do you not do it?
And that goes back to what we were talking about last week, I think, whereas I was questioning, are we going to ever get an icon again?
Exactly.
Maybe. Maybe.
God,
I said
makes
no.
so sense.
I said no, and I will admit that I'm wrong. But I also said that I'm only saying no so that way we can get one.
So again, let's preface this once more. This is a speculation map.
Yep.
They are really good at getting things right, but again,
Things change.
it is still a speculation map. So there's not any guarantee that it will happen.
Yep.
But that is exactly what I wanted to see and hear. I'm so happy that we actually got that change.
Yep. Huge addition.
I think
And
that
if you have Wicked Growth, El Chupacabra,
and Dead Man's Wharf.
and Dead Man's
That's-
Wharf,
that
your
you might-
originals are 1, 2, 3
I
as
mean,
your best houses.
At that point, you've blown away your originals in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So it'll be a travesty if they do the 31st Halloween Horror Nights and they don't bring Pumpkin Lord back. He's just the perfect character for that year. And maybe the plan was to have the original Pumpkin Lord this year, and because of what happened,
It got bumped
the
or
pandemic
whatever.
got bumped or whatever.
Yep.
But they said, let's do it again.
That goes to, we've talked about it before when we took our tour, when we did all this stuff. The Wicked Growth house, as you go through it, they are brewing and creating the Pumpkin
exactly.
Lord.
They're
And
building him to be.
we don't even have Pumpkin Lord till the end of the house. So the end of the house is when he's actually first born. So it's like any like Marvel movie or like the Disney Plus series in particular. I know this is a stretch, but stick with me. But a lot of those, except Moon Knight, like end with us seeing the hero as their true self in their actual costume. You know, WandaVision ends with Elizabeth Olsen becoming Scarlet Witch.
It's basically they're like 10-episode origin stories.
Falcon Winter Soldier ends with Sam Wilson donning the Captain America Falcon style suit. This is in that same sense where like we built it all up and the end was when we get our Pumpkin Lord. That's not the last time we're going to see him.
Right. We just kind of expected that like if we were going to see him again, chances are they were probably going to wait a year. But again, I think this just
at 31 you can't miss.
Yeah,
you can't play with that.
You have to do that. You have to have him in some capacity, and I think that means we're going to get an icon. I will stake my foot in the ground my foot in the ground, my flag in the ground.
Flag in the ground.
I will stake whatever in the ground that says if he's coming back, they're making him an icon.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back years for an original is definitely nothing to sneeze at. That's huge.
Right. I mean, who knows how many times it's happened because I didn't look it up.
Yeah,
but
I didn't do my research.
I didn't do my research to find out. But I mean, I don't know how many times they've done back-to-back like sequels, like 1, 2.
Yeah.
The following year.
I'd have to look into it and see how many times an original has been a house.
Or
2 years
make it
in a
easy
row.
on us and just tweet us just tweet us if it's happened.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
Yeah. So coming off of the high news of Wicked Growth 2, we're gonna jump to spot I,
Which is Halloween.
which was Halloween on the first map,
Which I'm assuming is gone.
which was Beetlejuice area, I think.
It would have to be where
It's on the right side.
Beetlejuice and
Haunting a Hill House.
Haunting Hill House was.
So that was on the right side. And in location I, on this one, is still Halloween.
Oh, they haven't removed it yet.
No subtitles, no...
Yeah, so we still don't know like what
Could be the
what it's
new
gonna
ones,
be.
could be the original, hopefully it's Season of the Witch, and then like this event, like...
Oh my god, it might possibly be the best event
thing
ever
in the world.
I mean,
we got Dead Man's Wharf and Wicked Growth 2 and Halloween Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
I
Plus a couple like
the
new
things I would do to get that are like
unforgivable.
endless and unforgivable. But yeah, so Halloween still remains. We kind of pegged that almost as like a placeholder.
I thought it
kind
was.
of thing,
I
which
guess
it still could be.
yeah, it very well still
it's a
could
safe
be. It's a safe bet. They haven't done a Michael House in a very long time.
And Halloween at the 31st event.
Again,
I mean, to go through the fog here and
makes a lot of sound. It makes a lot of sense to have Michael show up for the 31st event.
Yeah,
So maybe it will happen, and maybe it'll just be a straight up Halloween house, and it's just Michael, and you're doing Michael's house, and he's just gonna be Michael-y and do his Michael-y stuff.
Yep, stabby.
I mean,
killy.
I can dream that they'll do a Halloween 3 house. They probably won't, but I'm just saying,
We'll
Universal, if you do Halloween...
You could sell the masks.
Regardless of what he just said, if you did Halloween 3, the second Pumpkin Lord, Dead Man's Wharf, because I haven't done it before, and it sounds awesome. You do all of that in the same event, I don't know what I'd do. I will go to battle for you.
I will pay twice the admission.
I'll buy 2 annual passes for one person.
Right.
And use them on different days.
Yeah, I'll alternate them. So that brings us to our last location and our last IP, which, let's see, Jay on Speculation Map 1 was The Weeknd over at Fast and the Furious.
My guess is it's still there.
So they relabeled it as J is now where the right side, I think Beetlejuice was, and that is still The Weeknd.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
it's getting Halloween is where Hill House was. Weekend is where Beetlejuice was on the right and left.
Well, if you're looking at it,
Beetlejuice was on the right, Hill House
so if
was
you're
on the
walking
left.
down towards them,
Yep.
Beetlejuice is on the right, Hill House is on the
Yep.
left.
So Halloween would be on the left. The Weekend is on the right. So this means that both of these houses are getting those.
But they're getting the big storage units.
Those big
storage
units.
buildings.
So there's a lot to work with. Halloween is cool that it gets moved over there because you can look how Hill House was. They built up the entire front of Hill House.
Yeah, you could build the entire house.
And then, The Weekend being in that location where Beetlejuice was, I mean, you get that whole front laminate side where you
there's
can
a
do up.
whole big...
And they had a whole spinning walkway in there.
Right. So you can do a lot of things with that, which is why I'm still piqued interest-wise to see what they do. If they give him that space, I mean, I would be really interested to see what they can do with it.
Mm-hmm. I'm not shooting it down. I'm interested. It's one of those houses that I'm going to walk through and I'm either going to not really need to waste 90 minutes waiting for it every time because I won't be blown away by it. Or I'll probably
you're gonna have to wait.
Or I will wait. So for me personally, I don't think that this house is going to sit in the middle. I don't think I will have that. It was okay. I'm either gonna love it or I'm just not gonna. It's just not gonna be my cup of tea. It's one or the other. It's gonna be very hot and cold.
Probably.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to test it out and see what's in store because, like I said, we've stated in the past. I don't listen. I don't watch. It's I listen to other stuff.
He's just not your artist.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it.
listen to other stuff.
And
but if he can make it work, cool. Let's check it out. And the only downfall of that is we've talked about again. So not to rehash the stuff from our first Speculation Map episode, but I just don't want it to be the trend of feeling that urge to pick an artist.
Not to get back into that discussion, but to be fair, they didn't do a musical artist last year.
No, yes.
So there is no precedent as of right now that there has to be some sort of musical artist.
Yeah.
I think what made us nervous that it was going to happen is that originally they were planning Billie Eilish, and it sounds like she was pretty much confirmed, but things happened, and obviously with the pandemic, and it just fell through. Mm-hmm. So there's a chance that that's what they're planning on doing. Who knows? He could fall through. I think the tweet he sent out,
I think he pretty much confirmed.
I think he pretty much confirmed that he's part of it, which is fine.
He's talked about other things too.
I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna love this house. To be honest, because again, I'm not big in the pop world when it comes to music, but he's one of the few artists that I listen to once in a while. I think his music really interesting and dark, and can be moody at some points. Mm-hmm. And apparently we were wrong. He does do some darker music videos and that sort of thing. So he's got some stuff that they could do. So I'd be interested to see what happens. I think as long as they do kind of like they did with the Us movie and House, where they warped the songs and made it sound really dark and ominous, even though it's not, and they play on that contrast.
Mess with his stuff.
So mess with it a little bit, make it sound dark and evil and foreboding, and I'm probably gonna love the house. So it's like an original idea with music, and I'm cool with that. So let's see what happens.
So I'm excited. So those are the houses. I'll run through those again before I get to the one scare zone that is listed.
No, they've got one listed.
They have one scare zone listed on there.
Because they had none listed.
None. So, starting at A, we have Stranger Things. which we're assuming obviously it's going to be the later season.
Yep.
We have Dead Man's Wharf. Awesome.
Yep.
Bug House. Jury's out there.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what it is. We have The Mummy versus the Wolfman. Talked about it previously a handful of times. El Chupacabra, which again we've talked about. I hope this is my sensory house. I hope this thing is hot as hell.
This might be my most intriguing house still.
This has a lot of,
or one of them.
It has a lot to it. There's a lot of funky stuff in there. It depends which way we go with it.
Right.
Continuing along, we have The Horrors of Blumhouse, The Black Phone, and Freaky, which again,
compilation.
They've done it in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if this was there, just based on precedent that it has happened before.
Yep.
We have Underground Creatures. We have The Wicked Growth 2, fist bumps. We have Halloween, and we have The Weekend. Now, to the one scare zone that is labeled so far, and that is Scare Zone N, which is our favorite of all the scare zones.
Oh.
So that's the little trees.
The drop,
That's where...
San Francisco, is that what they call that one? No. Yes? I don't know. I forget what they call that one.
I'm so bad with the names.
I don't remember the names of the scare zones.
This is where Vikings. Last year it was the Terra Crentis.
Terra Crentis, yeah.
And that is labeled as Scarecrow. So not only are we getting the Wicked Growth back, we are getting Scarecrow, which was like some
arguably
style. It was like the scariest
one of the
house
best
of all
originals,
time.
one of the scariest originals.
Yeah.
One of the scariest houses.
Yep.
I never got to do it, so I'm excited. Even if it's just a scare zone.
A scare zone will take it. You get a big fake fucking windmill and like have that thing whipping around.
And it's the best scare zone in the park. So as long as they don't go overboard with the fog like they did last year. I think they went a little crazy with the fog last year.
They did, and they had a lot of stuff that was very
hard to see,
worked its way out.
Yeah. So
there was a lot of dodging and stuff like that. But man, I'm excited. Version 2.0 I think is a major upgrade. We lost Fear Street, which I was very excited for that.
Well, here's the thing. So for me, and this is just from my perspective, we didn't lose anything drastic.
Yeah.
I think Fear Street would have been cool, but out of everything we've dropped, that I'm not super concerned. I think the originals that I'm excited for, or we're excited for from the first map, are still there.
Yep.
And they've obviously added a couple that...
Wicked Growth.
I mean, that alone. I mean, I was going to ask you, what is your most anticipated one now? And obviously, I know which one that is.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. We'll have to sit, and like we did last time, we'll probably take a breather before we do our hype list, because our instant reactions are usually like, oh my god, I fucking...
Yeah, but we're not going to record on that episode for at least 2 weeks now, obviously, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, we lost Fear Street, we lost The Last of Us, we lost Pandora's Box.
Yes, we didn't lose anything.
We lost The Evil Dead.
We didn't lose anything that is heartbreaking, anyways.
Last of Us was low on my hype list. The Evil Dead was somewhere in the middle, but... now we did that killer review for nothing.
Right? What the hell?
No, it was still a fun movie to watch. It's a fun thing.
It is a fun movie.
That felt very much like Halloween, where it was like, this feels like a property they've... It
feels like it's just there.
It's just there.
Because they needed something to fill space.
Yeah. Pandora's Box, I would have really... That is the one... Fear Street and Pandora's Box, I am upset a little bit. I would have loved to seen Fear Street. And then Pandora's Box... That whole Greek mythology style thing would have been really fun. However, we got the confirmation of, well, I don't want to say confirmation, but the word Dead Man's Wharf appears on
it's no longer Seaside Village.
It's not Seaside Village. So we got that confirmation that what they think could be coming is at least more narrowed down to that point. We got Stranger Things back. We got Bug House. We got The Wicked Growth 2. We got a Blumhouse compilation, and we got a Scare Zone based on the Scarecrow.
Yep.
Potentially. I think that this is a huge win.
This is a massive step. I think
this is increasingly bringing the anticipation up.
Yeah, this made it harder to wait now. Mm-hmm. Now it's making it and it's only April. We're talking we've got 2 spec maps and it's only 4 months into the year and we have to wait another
about
6 months before.
We're 140 some odd days out.
Yeah, so it's gonna make waiting even harder.
Yeah,
and we'll see what happens between now and the next spec map, and we'll see what changes and what doesn't change.
And this came a lot sooner than I thought. I wasn't anticipating this. I was anticipating more news or maybe an announcement, and maybe the fact that this came out so soon, maybe we are on the verge of some announcements, something like The Weeknd coming out, or I think it would be smart for them to announce Stranger Things when Stranger Things drops on Netflix.
Well, I think it's probably what they're planning on doing. If that's really going to happen, May. Yeah. So I'm assuming that once they drop it, then Universal will be like, all right, because the Universal and Netflix have some sort of deal in place, so they know each other. They have a working relationship. So it's probably like, hey, just so you guys know, we're dropping the show in May, first half, dropping the second half in July. Do with that what you will. We'll work with you on marketing or whatever. So I'm sure they're just waiting for the right time to drop it. That if that sticks to this map, that will be the first house they announce. I'll put that out now.
Yeah, I'm curious when they will do the announcements, because if we don't get an announcement before Stranger Things drops, I will say yes, Stranger Things. But I bet early to mid-May, maybe we get The Weeknd announced, and then at the end of May we get Stranger Things announced. And then
potentially,
in June, July, we get some other ones, and maybe they drop Halloween or something along those lines, and they kind of just like stagger it out that way.
Right. Yeah.
And kind of like, I don't think we'll get what happened last year. Last year it was like very close to the event, and then they put out an announcement. They're like, here, fuck it, take everything, and they announced like all the originals.
Well, that's
all
also
the
because
zones.
Again, it was a weird year.
Yeah.
So they weren't sure what was going to happen.
I think we'll get it more staggered this year.
Yeah, it's the traditional year. Yeah.
So that's what I think we'll end up getting. This is our episode that's coming out today.
This is
on
episode
Thursday.
80.
This is episode 80. What a big fucking episode. So thankful that everyone got to check us out and come jump on this on the Fear and Beer train with us, listen to us talk about all this stuff. So next week, what you will be hearing, which got bumped from this week, is 10
Underrated.
under the radar IPs that could make good houses if done correctly. These aren't our top 10. These aren't your typical Halloween 3. These are under the radar ones that people may have not really talked about.
Yeah, and again, we know that there are certain ones that we've talked about that you guys have screamed about probably for years that you want to see. But they're not underrated.
Yeah.
It's not underrated. Gremlins is not underrated. We know that they're big movies, they're big properties, that they haven't done houses
underrated, yet. Under the radar.
Right. So we obviously understand that we want to see those ones. So this list isn't necessarily those movies.
The more obscure stuff. Right. That's for sure. So that's what we got coming to you next week. Again, thank you to Horror Night Nightmares for dropping the speculation.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Like I don't know how you get the information that you do, but
you made two middle-aged men.
I was gonna say
happy.
you make us real happy and think we're kids. Feel like kids still. So, I mean, I'm really excited. So, weird week this one, but
yeah, we definitely shuffled stuff around, but at least we got a free week of recording now. That we got
a free week. Not to do anything.
Two done. Also, be on the lookout because we do have another very big episode coming up.
Yeah.
Our schedule for the next couple months is going to be some pretty big heavy hitters. There is a clue of who we're going to be talking to somewhere in this
somewhere
room.
in the room right now on this video. So watch the YouTube video and figure it out.
Somewhere in this video. We're going to be talking.
It could be the TV screen. It could be somewhere on these ports. I mean, it could be anywhere.
If you're listening to this in podcast format, go to YouTube, and you'll see what we're sort of referencing. We're going to be chatting with some folks.
We got a new interview. Planned. So if you've listened to our other interview episodes, which again, you should go back and listen to those. We talked to Cody Carson from Set It Off. We've talked to Ryan from DOA, who does clothing, and we've talked to Ryzen, who is a professional wrestler.
Yep.
With AEW and a few other promotions. So check them out and be on the lookout for our next one.
Yeah, because we got this one coming up, and then before you know it, the end of May is our 2-year anniversary.
Oh God!
So we're gonna try and rally the troops up.
Oh God!
We're gonna rally the troops up and get another.
Has it been 2 years already?
The end of May.
That's absurd.
We'll rally the troops of the HHN community.
See if we can't put together another
we'll see who we can pull together.
Collab video or collab episode.
See if we can get something going on. Maybe some draft style thing. we'll figure
We'll
something
figure
out.
something
fun.
out. We'll make some plan.
April and May are some big months for us, so be on the lookout.
We are quickly becoming the Pied Pipers of HHN podcasts.
Trying
Trying to be.
Well, it's like every year they have an Avengers movie and they pull in all the they pull Cap over here.
You gotta
and they
pull everybody
Iron Man over here.
Collabs are what makes people happy.
They're some of my favorite episodes.
Collaboration's
These people
the
are
best.
all amazing. Everyone that's helped us out is super fun. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple months of podcasting because it's inching us closer to HHN while still giving us weirdos something to talk about.
Yeah. People that live in the dark.
Right. Well, until next time, which will be what we just recorded 2 hours ago. Until next time, this is Nick.
And this is Pumpkin Lord.
Hey, dead man's wharf.
Happy hunt.
Dead man's wharf.
I said it this time.
Dead man's wharf. Dead man's wharf. Going to the seaside village.
It's cursed. Cursed. It's got a death curse.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.